Welcome to the Streetport Connection with Tommy. This video is on your TNA Impact Wrestling results from earlier this evening. And some breaking news and what have ya. Alright. Sting will be inducted into the Hall of Fame by Lex Luger, according to the Busted Open satellite radio show at Bound for Glory. Its logical move, considering that Sting and Luger have been longtime friends and partners, and also have much on-air history together. The Busted Open satellite radio show is hosted by Dave LaGreca and Doug Mortman, and airs Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays on Sirius Radio and XM 208 from 2 to 4 Eastern Standard Time. Visit Facebook.com/Busted Open for more info. There are a lot of rumblings within TNA that Jeff Hardy is looking to return to WWE when his contract expires in early 2013. The feeling is that Hardy wants to return to WWE for one big run and make a bunch of money because he lost a lot of it with the legal troubles he has had over the past few years. Noted before that TNA had Hardy win Bound for Glory series because they want to keep him happy. TNA really wants Hardy to stay as he is their biggest merchandise seller. The feeling is that TNA may put the World Heavyweight title on Hardy at the BFG series to try and persuade him to re-sign. Don't expect to see Mickie James, Gail Kim, Eric Young, Chavo Guerrero, and Mr. Anderson on this week's Thursday Impact, but Chavo was actually there with his tag team partner. They were booked for a TNA live event in Salem, Virginia. I also have the results of that show. Well, yep, they were both were on Impact. For those who didn't know, several brands purchased some of their Twitter followers. This gives the impression that they are more popular than they really are and serves as a form of advertising. Someone recently did an audit of TNA's Twitter followers and found that their 189,000 followers, only 27,639 of them are real and the rest are fake, in the sense that they went and purchased them. TNA is developing the Aces and Eights storyline, but it said that the odds are less than 50% that Jeff Jarrett will end up being a leader. Jarrett is currently only working big shows for AAA in Mexico. He left his TNA duties to focus on Ring Ka King early last year, and the proposed Speed Channel project. But since nothing has happened with either of those, it's probably time for him to return soon. Other news, Velvet Sky and Angelina Love will be appearing on the New York Giants basketball charity game on October the 6th at Adelphia University in Garden City, New York. You can see more dribbles on the court than the basketballs. Mr. Anderson will face Armando Alejandro Estrada at GLCW's Loudmouth event on Saturday, September 29th at 7 p.m. from Circle B, 6261 State Highway 60 in Cedarburg, Wisconsin. This week on MLW Radio, Conan talked to co-host Mr. St. Laurent and Court Bauer about a recent backstage encounter with Kurt Angle while the Olympic gold medalist was wrestling for AAA at Triple Mania. The incident was the result of an earlier MLW Radio podcast in the spring, where Conan had revealed that while he was in TNA, Angle had confided in him that Vince McMahon had tried to lure Kurt back to WWE by regularly sending him flowers. Kurt responded by Twitter, vehemently denying the allegations. Fast forward to Triple Mania in August, Conan states, "Remember when we were talking about Kurt Angle? I was like, hey, cool dude, I even marked out when I heard he was coming to TNA. But give me a break about the flower thing. People sending him tweets telling him Conan said you got flowers from Vince, and he said I was delusional. Well, he showed up in Mexico for a show for Triple Mania, and about a month and a half ago, we hadn't talked since the flower controversy. He came in and literally, for like the first time, for the first 3 hours, he wouldn't even speak a word to me. He wouldn't even look at me when I was going over the match. Obviously, I'm trying to have to tell the guy that he did say Vince sent him flowers. Maybe he doesn't remember it, but we have to squash it because I can't work like this. And then I don't know what happened, but he just totally chilled out without me talking to him. All of a sudden, he's very serious, wouldn't talk or look at me, and then the next minute he was all right and like hugging me. The new episode of MLW Radio is available for free at MLW.com and on iTunes. Search MLW Radio along with the episodes featuring MVP, The Ultimate Warrior, Billy Corgan, and many others. Former MLB player Jose Canseco tweeted to TNA President Dixie Carter this week and told her that he is still waiting for TNA agent Bruce Pritchard to call him for a job. TNA Hall of Fame ceremony will be taking place on Saturday, October 13th, instead of the actual night of Bound for Glory. The ceremony will be a fan gathering type of event. As noted before, Lex Luger will be appearing, and Christian is also likely to appear as well. Matt Morgan has been speaking with Eric Bischoff about his return storyline. Going back to July, Morgan has been told that he will be used in a more significant role this time around. And source coming from Wrestling Observer newsletter, announced for Thursday's Impact Wrestling is the return of the gut check and Hulk Hogan's response to the threats from Aces and Eights. TNA was also teasing Open Fight Night brawl between James Storm and Bobby Roode. That did happen, as you will hear in the results. And over the weekend, if you haven't heard, Matt Morgan returned to TNA and crashed 2 live events. I knew about one. I didn't know about the second one. Word now is that Morgan actually re-signed 2 months ago and has been working fans on the internet all along. Being as tick-tock, I guess it won't stop. Unless the planet rocks. Well, let me get off of that. That's a long story. That was one of the main songs that was number one back when I was in high school. High school, I should say. 1987. My 9th grade year, I think that was 9th grade, so 87 minus 4 or 5, 83 or 84. Well, TNA had Jeff Hardy win the Bound for Glory series because his contract is expiring soon, and they wanted to make him happy in hopes that he will resign. Kurt Angle posted an injury update on his Twitter by writing, "Hey friends, sorry I haven't tweeted much. I'm not as injured as badly as you have heard. I will continue wrestling as planned. Miss you all. Much love." Bully Ray will be appearing on Zach Wild's Wild on Sports weekly talk show tomorrow night. The show airs from 9 to 11 on XM Channel 87 and Sirius Channel 210. Brian Hebner is selling the Matt Morgan attacking referee, Brian Stifler, at last night's live event in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. And here's what he wrote on his Twitter. "Want to wish at Brian Stifler a speedy recovery. At BP Matt Morgan came in the ring and took his head off, and now Stifler has jaw damage. At Impact Wrestling must do something to make our work conditions safer for the refs. At BP Matt Morgan doesn't need to mess with us. Go back home. Last thing I'll say BP Matt Morgan, I have lost all respect for you. Don't know what you're trying to prove, but taking out a defenseless referee is pretty low of you to do. That could have been me or at the Earl Hebner. We always we always gave you respect. So where is yours? Your point? And the live event results from Salem, Virginia. That was earlier tonight at the simultaneous live Impact versus the TNA live event, which is nothing more than a house show. The meet and greet event was organized weirdly. We were standing in line to meet Gunner. The report is by .NET reader Jake Saunders. Okay, I got to stand in line to meet Gunner and Kid Cash, Crimson, Robbie E, and Robbie T. They weren't very friendly with the fans. Kind of just talked amongst themselves or texted. I know Robbie E's iPhone password. That's weird. While they signed things, 10 minutes after I was out of that line, they announced a line specifically for Mickie James, which I thought was weird. Dear Lord, is Mickie James freaking hot? Say what you want about TNA versus WWE, but all the TNA girls are smoking. Match number 1, Mr. Anderson defeated Crimson. Fun opening match with a few botches. Anderson got the crowd going beforehand with a fun back and forth of getting the crowd to call him an asshole and Crimson a douchebag. Match number 2, Gail Kim defeated Mickie James by roll-up pin. The crowd was really into Mickie James, with her being from Virginia. Match number 3, Eric Young and ODB defeated Robbie E and Robbie T. Wow, that's the first time I've seen them in action within the last 2 months. The finish came after a fun segment where ODB kicked both Robbies in the groin. Before the match, there was a fun segment where both Robbies' fists pumped to their music and then tried to get EY and ODB to do the same. They danced to I Like Big Butts instead. You know, the rap one. There was a long intermission after only 3 minutes, 3 matches. Match number 4, Samoa Joe defeated Magnus by submission. Great heel work from Magnus. He was able to get a lot of the heat from the crowd. That had been a little dead after the intermission. Samoa Joe really over with the crowd. Lots of Joe's gonna kill you chants. Match number 5, RVD defeated Gunner with Kid Cash by pinfall. RVD won after the 5-star frog splash. Outstanding heel work from Kid Cash, who pissed the crowd off by throwing water and flying the bird a few times. And I guess that's it. We only had like 5 matches. And in the notes from the report said it was overall good show. A little slow at times. Lots of long rest holds in the last 2 minutes. And pacing of the whole show seemed really slow. While there were only 5 matches, every single one of them, those matches, except the tag match, was better than anything on television right now, especially on Raw, which has become a chore to watch. Great for my first live event, and great performances from the talent who didn't seem at all fazed by the rather small crowd. Okay, on with some more news. WWE producer and former NWA Superstar Arn Anderson turned 54 years old. The greatest wrestler never to win a world championship in singles, a major championship that is, in my humble opinion, was a powerhouse of the tag scene, winning 5 NWA WCW tag titles and 1 from WWF. Anderson was inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame last year as a member of the Four Horsemen. Wrestling legend Greg the Hammer Valentine turned 62 years old today. Valentine was a star in various promotions and arguably held every major championship of his era, including the NWA United States Championship 3 times, except for a world title belt. Valentine was inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame in 2004. Former ECW manager, commentator Joel Gertner turned 37 years old. I thought he was a little bit older than that. The one-time manager of the Dudley Boyz, Gertner's name has been making the rounds again after a recent clip of him that will be used in the forthcoming Unauthorized ECW Documentary that was released by the producers of the film. His nickname was a quintessential stud muffin. No worse than Big Dick Johnson, the one that just dances in his G-string for WWE. AWA Wrestling at 11 p.m. tonight was supposed to have Buddy Rose and Doug Summers versus Milliman and Bordeaux. Jimmy Superfly Snuka versus Stant. Hernandez versus Colonel De Beers. I don't know which Hernandez that would be. And World Heavyweight title, Nick Bockwinkel versus Boris Zukov. And now what everybody's been waiting for, Impact Wrestling on Spike TV, aired live from Orlando, Florida, the Impact Zone. They had a previously on Impact segment. And live in backstage, you got Hogan speaking with Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq said he's got Hogan's back tonight. Next off, we got Kurt Angle and AJ Styles making their entrance. Angle reminded everyone that they were tag champs a few months back, but they were screwed out of the belts. Angle said they have another opportunity now. But so do Chavo Guerrero and Super Mix. Therefore, he and Styles are challenging Chavo and Super Mix tonight. And they open the show. Kurt Angle and AJ Styles versus Chavo and Super Mix, the two teams, traded control several times early going. Hernandez and Chavo eventually got the better of the Angle, and they began to wear the men down. Angle made his comeback off of a belly-belly suplex, and Christopher Daniels and Kazarian were shown standing on the apron. Back from the break, Styles had Chavo in a rest hold. Chavo got to his feet and regained control with a back body drop. Hernandez tags in and tossed Styles like he was a rag doll. Hernandez went for a border toss, but Angle made the save. Chavo hit a double missile drop kick on Styles and Angle. Chavo went for the Three Amigos, but Styles countered. Styles got the hot tag to Angle, who basted Chavo with a German suplex and locked in the ankle lock. Chavo rolled through and kicked Angle off. Chavo hit the Three Amigos on both of his opponents this time. Chavo went for a frog splash on Styles, but he missed. Styles caught Chavo in a Pele kick. Styles set up the Styles Clash, but the match got interfered with when Daniels and Kazarian ran down and took out both men from both teams. Kurt Angle and AJ Styles versus Chavo Guerrero and Super Mix ended in an apparent no contest in 12 minutes 21 seconds. Well, as the tag champions were heading up the ramp, Hogan makes his entrance holding a baseball bat, and he said he was trying to figure out which of the challengers wanted it more, but now the champions gave him the answer. He made it a triple threat match between the three teams at Bound for Glory series. Now, a couple weeks back, I predicted this to happen myself. So far, my prediction was correct on this one. Al Snow said tonight's gut check participant was the epitome of what gut check was all about. He then went on to recap his feud with Joey Ryan. He said he was on his way to a meeting over his slap of Ryan. And it's the guy that they advertised last week for this week. Has been 18 years old. He's been wrestling for 5 years, as he's been training since 13. This month's gut check participant was shown preparing backstage. He was doing some push-ups. And they did a whole body shot of him. So they wouldn't think that he was cheating on doing push-ups. The match was great. I love the idea of giving the heels some heat back by interrupting the match. Any heat got from the action was evaporated the instant Hogan came out. However, the match he made holds no interest for me. I want the Styles and Daniels feud to end. This feels like a holding pattern so far. This year's Bound for Glory really isn't appealing to me, and this doesn't help the feeling at all. Backstage segment again, Hogan was speaking with Joseph Park on the phone. He said he would send someone to help him with security as he was apparently driving into the arena, or driving into the parking lot. As you noticed, Hogan said last week that the Impact Zone was going to be locked down. The Bound for Glory memory of Samoa Joe diving out of a luxury box aired. And as he commented on that himself, that was his best moment. Evan Markopoulos video package aired of him with some of the indie feds. Was you can see some of the other guys. They were their faces were shown, but their emblems and company names or whatever their characters showing was blurred out. Dixie Carter and Bruce Pritchard spoke backstage in the office in Aces and Eights about Aces and Eights and trying to figure out who was behind the faction. I'm not sure how things are for anyone else, but on my feed the audio was severely out of sync in the entire segment. I know that because I've got the great Comcast video distortion along with the signal going out a lot. Ooh yeah. That's why I got free cable for the last 2 months. If you have distortion, complain about it. You'll get reimbursed. Well, okay. Jeremy Borash introduced Evan Markopoulos. Did his annoying gut check voice thing. And Douglas Williams made his way as his opponent. So you got Evan Markopoulos versus Douglas Williams in a gut check match. Williams wasted no time in tearing the kid apart. Markopoulos had a brief hope spot, but Williams hit an arm drag and locked in an inverted crossface, similar to the hold Hardy's been using as of late, for a quick submission victory. And that match was only 3 minutes 28 seconds. He had some decent moves on my end. I give him the yes, because he's an athlete, so give him a shot. Another month, another example of TNA's recruiting. I'm glad that they managed to find a guy that they didn't have some sob story for once. They did have the guy's father do a segment or two, speaking on his son. But still, they presented him like a chump, and they gave him less offense than any Ryback opponent. Why are we supposed to care about these guys again? After all, how many of the gut check winners have been seen on TV again? But unless other than the Joey Ryan, but unless they shake up the format, gut check is a waste of time. It's a shame that it's a concept that could do a lot of good for TNA if they didn't squander it. And then they show a video package covering the revival of James Storm and Bobby Roode's feud aired. Alright, this segment is kind of misconstipulated, I should say. James Storm makes his entrance. He grabbed the mic and said he was calling out Bobby Roode as promised from last week. He said he was going to be a man kicking a coward's ass, and he called Bobby Roode to the ring. Roode obliged, but never came to the ring. He was wearing a suit. Of course, he's doing the rich man's character. Roode denied Storm's challenge, and he guaranteed that as long as he's around, Storm will never have another shot at the TNA title. Roode said he was done with Storm and told him to fight someone else if he wanted to fight. Now get this. This is what I'm complaining about. Now, Hogan announced his fight night challenge. If they refused, they would be fired on the spot. Well, here's what happens. Hogan met Roode backstage and he told Roode he has to fight. Hogan threatened to fire Roode if he wasn't ready in 3 minutes. And they cut the commercial. So, they are sticking with that firing line. Rue came back out, still wearing a suit. He then stripped on his way to the ring. Storm attacked him before he ever made it to the ring, as he was still working on taking his shirt off. And the two brawled on the stage. Took several minutes before they even got into the ring. But they spilled right to the floor immediately, and each other into the steps and the barricades. Rude swung and missed with a steel chair, and Storm threw Rude into some fans' feet. And there was like 3 guys sticking their feet up from their chairs for the big boot. Kind of thing. Some classy fans at ringside dropped some F-bombs in Rude's direction and flipped Rude off. Rude hit Storm with a suplex on the floor. Both men ended up shoving the referee, trying to maintain control. Now get this, it's a fight night. There's supposed to be no referee in the ring, but he called for the bell anyways. Storm and Rude continued to brawl to the backstage area and out the door. No segment there to follow them out. And that match lasted about 6 minutes, 23 seconds once they got in the ring. Storm and Rude brawled right out of the building. Hulk Hogan's backstage with a crewman. He talked about how he needed Joseph Park to be allowed into the building. Aces and Eights called Hogan on his cell phone to declare that they had a lawyer. Hogan said that he would call them back, and he warned them to get ready to play hard. Hogan told the crewman to disregard his previous order, as he knows where Park was at. Decent match, and really sold how much these two hate each other. I don't think they gave away too much for Bound for Glory, as it was a punch and a kick fest, and it was anywhere near a wrestling match. It's supposed to be a fight. Well, I'm hoping that Aces and Eights managed to gain some heat tonight, as the faction has been on the back burner for the past few weeks. Also, TNA needs to pull back on Hogan. He really doesn't have the acting chops. Someone needs to carry an entire show like he's been called upon to do. Then we got A-Double and Jeff Hardy speaking backstage. Aries Hole said that Bound for Glory isn't about Hardy coming after his belt. It's about Aries wanting what Hardy has. He said he's going to become a bigger star than Hardy by besting him at the pay-per-view. Yeah, he's wanting him to have his Hall of Fame career. Tara made her entrance and grabbed a microphone. Tara said everyone's been bugging her about her attack on Tessmacher from last week. She said that the fans and Tessmacher used her to get on TV, along with the posters and everything else. Tara said it was her new boyfriend from Hollywood that opened her eyes. Tara called out Christy Hemme for the open challenge. But yet this is open challenge night. She's supposed to oblige and they're supposed to have a fight. But never happened. Tara bullied Hemme briefly, but Miss Tessmacher ran out and chased her off. Tara said Tessmacher is hers at Bound for Glory. Hogan was shown backstage walking through the backstage area. Simple yet effective segment. I'm not sure where they're going with the boyfriend talk, but everyone else is about the segment worked well. To me, again, if she challenged anybody, then they are supposed to oblige. Somebody's supposed to be getting fired. Well, Brooke Hogan chased Tara backstage about her actions. Brooke said that there will be consequences next week. So we'll see about what they do. Well, they can't fire her because she's the one that made a challenge. All right, segment with RVD, as he was not there. This was taped, and they talked about some of his matches for Bound for Glory. So far, he's the only guy with a memoir video package that sounded dispassionate. And he talked about most of his matches against Jerry Lynn, in fact. Hogan makes his entrance with his bat. Hogan said that Joseph Park was taken hostage by Aces and Eights. Hogan said he had no problem playing. Hogan said that they wanted him to in their clubhouse next week. Hogan said he would be there, but he wanted them to release Park as a sign of good faith. As he made his ring entrance, that's for Hogan. Well, again on the TNA Tron, Bane appeared on the screen, complete with cheesy background music. And he said at the clubhouse, it's clubhouse rules. They showed Park's computer and then destroyed it with a sledgehammer. Wow. Park was shown in a cage, saying that he has all the information in his head. Until one of the members clubbed Park with a hammer, and Hogan stood in the ring with a look halfway between piss and concern. So, they bashed him in the head, so I guess he's next week he's going to forget everything. Okay, so and they go to commercial. Poor laptop. What did it ever do to anyone? Anyway, this was an effective segment. And it showed that Aces and Eights are ruthless. Hogan is still a bit much in this role, but he did better here than he has throughout the rest of the evening. Then a replay segment what just aired. A video package covering Hardy's motivation from Bound for Glory aired. AEW makes his entrance and complained about about all the focus as being on Jeff Hardy. Aries says that Hardy has beaten Bully Ray several times in the last month, so he wanted to do the same thing. And Aries calls out Bully Ray. Are they considering an Aries heel turn? Wow. To me, Aries has always been heel. Ever since his first WWF. When he was back there with Johnny Polo. That's Raven, former Raven. That could help make Bound for Glory's title match more interesting. But I feel it's a little bit too early in his babyface run to be flirting with a turn or even heel tendencies, which is exactly what Aries respect talk alludes to. So, Ray answered the call and said that Aries doesn't have the skill to beat him. Mid-rant. Aries dove over the ropes and started attacking Ray as he was about to come into the ring. Match number 4, and that's all you had for Impact tonight. AEW versus Bully Ray in a non-title match. The two men eventually got back into the ring, and Aries started working over Ray. Ray caught Aries with a big boot and the show with commercial less than a minute into the match. Commercial break. Back for the break, Ray continued to work over Aries. Ray ended up arguing with Hebner, which allowed Aries enough room to make his comeback. Well, at this point, I knew something was up in this match. They're setting up a ref bump. Aries hit a flying dropkick for a near fall. Aries went for a brain buster, but Ray managed to fight it out. He couldn't even get Bully Ray up. Aries was thrown into Hebner, and Aries locked in the last chancery, but the referee was out. Aries got the tap, but Hebner, like I said, the referee was out. Ray grabbed his chain as Aries was checking on Hebner. And as Hebner was trying to get up, Aries got knocked out when Bully Ray hit him with a chain. Hebner never saw it and did the slow 3 count, and Ray gets the victory. And that match took 12 minutes 19 seconds out of our lives. Ray set up the attack to attack Aries after the match, but Hardy ran out and made the save. As Bully Ray had grabbed a belt and decked Aries, Aries only came to and only seen Hardy holding the belt and immediately flipped out. The two bickered to close the show. If the plan is to turn Aries, this was a great first step in that direction. If not, I'm really a fan of having him lose heading into their biggest pay-per-view of the year. Aries should be presented as a star, and right now, He's a punk with a chip on his shoulder. And that ends my Impact Wrestling for this week. Peace out. God bless. Stay tuned for next week's wrestling shows.